Hello and welcome to my presentation on assessing fluency. Our goal here today is to create a system for assessing multiplication fact fluency. First, let's establish what fluency is. Principles and Standards for School Mathematics states, computational fluency refers to having effective and accurate methods for computing. Students exhibit computational fluency when they demonstrate flexibility in the computational methods they choose, understand and can explain these methods, and produce accurate answers efficiently. So, the four key words that we want to take away from that definition are flexibility, appropriate strategy use, efficiency, and accuracy. Students need all four of those components to be defined as being fluent in their math facts. So it's not enough just to get accurate answers quickly. You have to be able to apply strategies and justify your reasoning to be labeled as fluent in math facts. Next, what's not working? Time tests are not working to create fluent math students. These tests do not fully test fluency because they are not testing for use of strategy or flexibility in strategy use. These tests, however, do create anxiety and do not correlate with mastery of facts. Let's review the phases of basic fact mastery. Phase 1 is modeling and or counting to find the answer. So this is our concrete method. Students are skip counting, they're drawing pictures. It's very concrete. Then next, students go to phase 2, where they are using some of their concrete knowledge and then using other fact families that they know to kind of reason and make sense of multiplication facts. And lastly, step 3 is our mastery. They can do their math problems efficiently, quickly, and they know their strategies. So we want students to go through all these stages. Currently, a lot of teachers are wanting to go from phase 1, that concrete, right to memorization, and they're skipping that big chunk that is phase 2. That is really important to our learning. So here are some strategies to assess. I gathered these from our textbook along with articles from Teaching Children Mathematics. So we can use interviews, observations, journals, and quizzes. And I'm going to go more in depth onto all of these different strategies we can use. So one strategy we can use is interviews. Interviews are great, especially because they use verbal reasoning. A lot of times students might not be able to write out what they're thinking, but they can verbally explain it a lot better. This is also great because it evaluates all four of those fluency domains, and it allows for self-correction. Students, if they are explaining their thinking, can oftentimes self-correct. This can be formal or informal, depending on what works best for you and what works best for your students. These can be quick interviews that can help to inform instruction for the whole class. They can take place during other activities. Okay. Another method is observations. Teacher observes their students all the time. Notice which multiplication strategy students seem to favor. You need to use a checklist or some sort of document to keep all your information organized. This can be anecdotal notes or more of a checklist type of thing. Again, when you use observations, you can see all four of the domains. And you can do this in context. You can go around and observe your students while they are working. Another method to assess your students is using journals. Journals are a great informal way to collect data on your students. They're a great way for students to share their strategies. They can use a combination of words and pictures, whatever best helps them to justify their reasoning. You can use a variety of different prompts to assess any of the four different areas of fluency. And a lot of times, I think journals would be fun. The article I read gave a lot of really fun ideas for journal ideas. Like you could make a math yearbook or a math survival guide. It can be kind of a way to make math more fun. And another method is quizzes. So these quizzes are different, not timed, fewer problems, and students have to justify their reasoning. This is a figure from one of the articles I read where you can see the amount of problems is very limited. Students are explaining what strategy they used, or they just knew it. Maybe they just have mastery of that problem, that they don't have to use a strategy to figure it out. So this type of assessment gives us as teachers a lot more data about what our students know versus just giving them 50 problems to do in a minute. So where do we start? How do we make the switch? Let's start by making sure students have a good understanding of our foundational facts. These are our 0, 1, 2, 5, 10s. Using quizzes or other methods to make sure our students have a good understanding of those facts first can help lead to relational reasoning with other problems. It'll help them get to know their other math facts. This also ties into number sense. Students need to have good number sense, and they understand that 4 times 10 is 4 groups of 10. Having a good number sense will allow them to make better reasoning and justification. So going back to what we talked about earlier, the 3 phases. Phase 2, we really need to have that meaningful practices. A lot of our strategy we talked about can be used in correlation with this. So meaningful practice, a lot of the articles I talked about were mentioned playing games. Give your students different games to play that emphasize explaining their reasoning. So you can go around and observe your students, maybe give them a few questions, interview them, and see them in context while they're playing with their peers and thinking through math facts. And of course, why are we doing all this? We are going to collect this data so we can make informed decisions on our students' mathematical practices. So in conclusion, in my classroom, I will apply this by using a combination of strategies with a checklist to document the facts my students have learned. We're using a combination method so we can get a full picture of students' level of mastery. And these are my sources. Thank you so much for watching.